Okay, hello and welcome to Friday the 3rd of May. Obviously payroll's coming out shortly. Just giving you a brief update on what's been going on so far today, and it's been relatively quiet, always the case I guess whenever US non-farm payrolls is coming out. But a couple of things we have seen is over here in the UK you've had the local elections happening, so this is not a general election, and it's not the entirety of all constituents, but it definitely has given a bit of a flavour as to what people thought, which is the fact that the kind of dissatisfaction in how the government and the kind of lead opposition party, Labour, have been dealing with this process of delivering the mandate of Brexit has been evident in the results, which have basically seen both major traditional parties' popularity decrease. Reaction to pound has been hardly anything, to be honest, because everyone was expecting that to be the case anyway. If anything, today's been a story of dollar strength. So the top two left-hand charts here, euro dollar and cable, have continued to kind of grind south, both down about 20 to 30 pip range at the moment. Obviously the dollar movement now awaiting potential large fluctuations on the back of the jobs data. Otherwise, HSBC had some pretty decent numbers, their best performance they've had in about 14 quarters. UK service PMI data almost bang in line with expectations, so again, despite it being traditionally an important number, it was exactly as analysts were predicting. Eurozone side, we've had some inflation data, beat forecasts, accelerated in April, but again, that's not really a surprise to the euro and European assets unreactive, given the fact that we already know the state of play, because the German state level CPIs a few weeks ago were already showing an uptick. Otherwise, payrolls is the focus. Just wanted to quickly then transition my charts. It comes with ADP employment change really exceeding expectations earlier in the week. 275,000 was sharply above expectations of 180, and often people put great weighting on the back of that data set. In terms of the actual headline reading, we're expecting a number of around 185 on the street. However, the surveyed range quite a bit wider. Looking at, I think the low estimates are down to the region of about 117, high estimates at about 273. As ever is the case, there's been large fluctuations here in Q1, largely a byproduct of the government shutdown. So today should be a bit of a cleaner number for the headline. But as per usual, we'll be keeping a close eye on the average hourly earnings. The Fed midweek were talking about how it's been a transitory situation with inflation, and therefore as a net result, given the tightness of the labour force, the inflation should pick up. So this data will be important, and as a consequence also will the unemployment rate. So movement in kind of US equities, oil and other asset classes, T-notes will be derived probably from the outcome of this figure. Overall, from a broader macro perspective, I don't think it makes a big kind of change to the thinking of what we heard from the Fed midweek. However, I'm sure it will cause some short-term fluctuation, at least in various different asset prices. So pretty much just identifying really the range of these products. So in the case of the S&P, the kind of previous lows that we've had here that have been quite clean, which is just below the kind of daily pivot. This is a long-standing and will be a good level of support, probably around that 14 to 18 level. Anything pushing beyond there would be looking at the low that we saw on yesterday before a decent recovery. And on the upside, yesterday's high will probably be the range. Also as well, quite interested to see how oil plays out, of course, just given some of the downside that we've seen on the weekly, or on the week I should say. We've had a pretty strong pullback since we peaked back at the end of April. Running into a kind of fib level, the 50 DMA coming in, and a decent area of support around that 60.39 in the futures. All right, payroll update we'll be covering on Trading Live in a bit later, in about an hour's time.